So the 23rd was Mercury's evening star maximum elongation, which what that means is that is when he is brightest in the sky. So his energy, the light of Mercury, Mercury is the high magician. He's Thoth, also known as Hermes, and is an alchemist above all, meaning he has the ability to go above and below, meaning integrate what's happening in the cosmos, what's happening up here, right, in the higher mind, and bring that down to the very depths, meaning here on earth, meaning down deep here in the body, at what is the lowest, and bring it all back up to the level of the heart, because the Mercury retrograde cycle is a synodic cycle, meaning it is about the relationship and the cycle that Mercury has around the sun. And the sun is the solar force in our life. It's the father figure. It's God consciousness, right? So Mercury, during his retrograde cycle, goes into what's called the throne room of the king. And so imagine back in, times when we had kings and queens, in the future, in the past, now, okay? Bring yourself into that mind state of getting ready to receive special instructions from the highest of the high. And it's if you choose to embark upon the mission, right, the journey, then you get to reap the alchemical gold. And so that's essentially can be broken down into about 3 different phases. That's why you hear me talking about Mercury and Hermes. I always reference the number 3, because it's the above, the middle, the heart, and the below. But also there's 3 different dates where Mercury will pass over, in his trickster alchemical dance as he appears to go retrograde from our perspective here on earth. So what's important to know is that today and 3 days before, 3 days after, pay attention. What is happening? There is a storyline beginning. You might notice that there's people coming back into your life that from the past, different characters kind of being washed up metaphorically onto the shore, because this is happening in the water sign of Cancer. The one that we had earlier, remember, was in Pisces. And the one that we're going to have later is going to be in Scorpio in November. So these retrogrades are activating the water houses in your astrological chart. So if you know your astrological chart, think, all right, where's Cancer? What house does that fall in? What house does Pisces fall in? What house does Scorpio fall in? It's known as a trigon. It's a trinity, right? And so it's going to activate and alchemize. And by the end of the year, these 3 houses will be different. They will have significant change, hopefully, for the better. And they will be, but meaning you have the opportunity to take an adventure and to create this change in those houses in your life. So this first one was 623, so that's the beginning of the storyline, right? And that is at 28 degrees of Cancer. It's at the very end of Cancer. And so actually Mercury is going to be going into Leo today. So it's kind of like stepping into Leo, like looking beyond the threshold and like taking a peek, but then coming back. Okay, so there is a tinge of this solar influence, and wherever you have Leo as well, but it's mostly Cancer. And so then this is what is called the nigredo phase, which is the blackening. The alchemist would call this rejoice when the matter at hand turns black, meaning when shit's going down, because this is when the magic can happen. This is where change can happen. When things are going like normal and fine, like, you're not going to engage in the magic and in the mystery very much. And, you know, you're going to stay in that mundane, day-to-day, same, right? But when things go black, right, you've created so much fire and heat to actually burn away the walls and the constructs and the belief systems that are no longer serving you, because you're ready for growth. You're ready to get a new shell, essentially, right? Especially in the sign of Cancer, that metaphor of, you know, outgrowing your shell is, you know, very apropos. So this is what's called the Nigredo phase. The next date is 7/21, okay? And this is when Mercury enters the throne room of the king. It's the conjunction of the sun and Mercury together. And it's a time where you are receiving divine guidance of your mission, right? Of what this journey is really, really about, even though you're getting clues and initiations of the storyline today. And so that's called the albedo phase, which is the white, right? The purifying, right? So things get black, then things get white, right? And then on August 9th is the rubedo, which is the reddening, right? This is where that fire and that passion and that drive, and usually that's where things start to take off a lot more in the story, right? That warrior spirit is really on fire. And that is the morning maximum brightness. So part of why, you know, this whole, you know, Mercury visually in the sky, it gets super, super bright right at the beginning, and then it disappears. Like, we cannot see Mercury, rather, because it's going beneath the, it's dipping down beneath the horizon, you know, we can't see Mercury. And so that's the part of Mercury retrogrades where things, you know, maybe certain people leave your life, you know, like, or certain things or plans that you thought were going a certain way disappear or go missing, right? Because that's what's happening. That's visually what's happening. And so what's happening out there is also happening here in our life and in our consciousness. And so then what happens is Mercury will return, but then he will return in the east. So he will rise in the morning. Instead of him being an evening star where we see him at night, he will return and then be rising above the sun in the east. And so that date is again August 9th, and that signals the rubedo phase, the last phase of the Mercury retrograde cycle. So things happen in 3. Pay attention if something significant happens, and it's a part of this initiation, this storyline. Know that it's going to happen 2 more times, right? And so that you can gauge where you're at in that story and start building this this arc. So yeah, let me know what symbols any of you guys are coming into your awareness. If there's animals that are speaking to you, because, you know, this Mercury retrograde is about going down, right? It's mixing the above with the below, and so down below is our primal nature. So animals really tap us into that part of ourselves, the primalness, you know, and how we go against the grain in order to create change. So those animals offer you their medicine and their spirit to help you shapeshift your life. Yeah, so I love you guys very much. I look forward to seeing you guys at our next class. I believe is Botanica Erotica, which is one of my favorites. We'll be doing a talk on all of the flora, right? And yeah, flora that is used for arousing the body, arousing the sexual energy, arousing the eros, you know. So we'll go into yoni steams, into making yoni steam formulas, libido formulas, vitality formulas, and different sort of potions and things that you can make to have fun in the boudoir, you know, in your sexy time. So looking forward to that. I love you guys so much. Mwah. Please post what's going on. What's this Mercury retrograde? What are you being attuned to? What symbols are showing up for you? All right. Mwah. Bye.